On this channel, I tend to focus more on budget-priced gear for folks that are just getting started out in photo and video. And I realized I never really look at gear a bit higher quality for folks that maybe have moved beyond that just starting out point. So today, I am going to look at something a bit higher quality for folks that maybe have a little extra room in their budget. And this thing is definitely higher quality. This is the Soonwell ST25 RGBWW tube light. Soonwell sent me a couple of these lights to review, but as always, they have zero input on this review, and they won't be seeing this ahead of time. Now I was really anxious to get my hands on these lights because I previously reviewed another light from Soonwell, the MT1. It's a smaller tube light, but I really liked it. These ST25 lights are far from many. They come in at 2 feet long. They even have a larger 4-foot version, the ST50, which if you're listening, Soonwell, really would like to check those out as well. Right off the bat, I knew I was checking out a higher end piece of gear just by looking at the case. It's a fantastic case that holds your light, including all the accessories. It's really well padded, providing you with a lot of protection for your lights. There's your power adapter. You get a little ball head mount and a clamp. Speaking of this clamp, do not lose this thing. This light doesn't have any 1/4, 20, or 3/8 mounts on the light itself. So if you lose this clamp, you are left with having to come up with some sort of DIY option for mounting the light. Now, one of those options is simply using something like a super clamp. Just be careful not to over tighten the clamp and end up breaking the tube. The build quality of this light is really outstanding. It's by far the best built tube light I've personally ever used, and I'm including offerings from like Godox and Nanolite here. No offense to either of them, they make great gear as well. These Soonwell lights are just that good in my opinion. The back of these lights are all metal, which certainly helps with dissipating the heat. But if you're using these for extended periods, like 3 hours or more, the back of it does get pretty hot, so gloves probably aren't the worst idea. The front diffusion of these things are some of the best I've ever seen. You're not going to be seeing individual LED beads with this light, and that's a pretty big deal for me. They're also IP65 rated, which means that they're basically rainproof. Using these outside, no problem at all. The color accuracy of these lights is pretty bang on, but don't take my word for it. Andrew over at Gaffney & Gear did his usual ultra comprehensive testing of these lights. So if ultra nerd specs are your thing, be sure to check out his video. I'll just mention at 5600K, your daylight color, this thing was plus or minus only 61 degrees Kelvin. That ain't bad. So here are the controls for the ST25. You have a mode button, left and right, and of course your power button. Now the first feature I want to talk about here is how you can use one light to control multiple other lights. So on your primary light, you want to go until you get to menu. Hit the mode button, keep hitting the mode button till you get to the S and M section. Then you can make sure that on your primary controlling light, that is set to M. All your other lights, you put those on S. So I've already got those matched up here, so we'll leave this in M mode. So we'll just briefly go through all of the modes here. You're in CCT mode here to start with. The M button, you can go into dimming, press the M again to get to your color temperature. Now in this mode, you have a range of 2600 degrees Kelvin to 6000 degrees Kelvin. And I'm going to talk more about this here in a second because there's another mode for color temperature control as well. You also get a green and magenta shift option as well. The next is HSI. Again, hit the M button to get down. You can change the brightness, your HSI, mode button again, change your saturation. You have X and Y. That's another color mode that I'm not super familiar with, so we're going to move right on past it. Now, here was the other color temperature mode I was talking about, CCT-S. This one gives you an extended range. So you go from 1600 degrees Kelvin up to 2600 degrees Kelvin. So it's an extended color temperature range. Now from here, the next button press, you're going to jump all the way up to 6000 degrees Kelvin, and I believe that's going to go all the way to 20,000 degrees Kelvin. So it gives you an extended lower color temperature range and an extended higher color temperature range. The standard CCT mode gives you that range in between those. Next is RGBWW, where you can control red, green, blue, and your white light. This is a feature I love called Set C. What it does is it has several predefined colors already built in so you can quickly get to them. So I'll put the brightness up to, let's say 10%. And we'll go right from the beginning. So we'll start at 3200 degrees Kelvin, 5600 degrees Kelvin. So you have a nice tungsten and daylight temperature built in. Then you have red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue, purple, and that's the last one. This is probably the mode I'm using the most because a lot of times if I'm using RGB lights, I simply want to throw a red light up in the background or a blue light up in the background. Using this mode, I can quickly get to that without having to dial in a bunch of settings like in the RGBW mode. You have several predefined leaf filters in here, and I believe there's a good number of them. You have special effects, and I believe, is there 20 in all? All right, we'll go backwards since we're already here. So you have CCT flash, HSI flash, CCT pulse, HSI pulse, storm, that's basically your lightning, cop car, TV, paparazzi, the flash bulbs going off, fire, party, which you're going to get a whole bunch of RGB flashing colors there, bad bulb, fireworks, explosion, welding, HSI jump is just hopping between different HSI colors, HSI cycle, where it'll slowly move through the RGB colors, CCT cycle, CCT jump, a warm cycle where it moves through different warmer color temperatures, and then white cycle, which is cycling through different cooler temperatures. With all of these, you can control, of course, the brightness, but also the speed of the effect. You also have, I believe it's 4 save points in this light. So for example, let's go to Set C, and we're set at 10% of purple. So to save that, you just single press the power button, and then we'll move back to memory. And as you can see, that is now saved in position 1. So just hit M on the save 1 spot. Again, briefly press the power button, and there's your purple. You have a menu section, which we went into to set up the primary or secondary lights. There's also an option to turn Wi-Fi on, a few other doodads like DMX as well. And that pretty much covers using the light. Let's talk about power and battery with these lights. They only have an AC power supply, so no powering these off of a USB battery bank. Also, when you have the battery inserted and plugged in, you will have power to the lights, but you won't be charging the lights. To actually charge the battery, you need to remove them from the light. What's really great here is the battery life of these lights. Even at 100% brightness, you're getting over 3 hours of use per battery charge. Overall, I am incredibly impressed with these lights. You go. Go. Thank you. I'm incredibly impressed with these lights. In fact, I used them recently on an interview shoot I did, and they performed exceptionally well. I used the light as an edge light for my subject, setting the color of the light to try and match the color of the hat she was wearing. Funny enough, when the shoot was over, my client mentioned to me how much she liked these lights and asked where she could get a couple. So I might have actually made a sale for Soonwell on that shoot. No product is perfect, and there are some cons with the light. The first is that they're only using the RGB LEDs when in color modes and not any of the warm white or cool white LEDs. Now for me, this is not a problem because when I'm using them, I'm always at 100% saturation. The problem comes in when you start lowering the saturation, the color accuracy of the lights tend to go down. But if you're like me and typically use these kind of lights at 100% saturation, not a problem. Another issue is if you want to control them with the mobile app. To do that, you're going to need to purchase a separate device called the Soonwell Vista. Me personally, I don't like to use a mobile app when I'm controlling these ancillary lights. The only mobile app I really use is Sidus Link to control my main lighting, which are all aperture lights. There's also a strange quirk when you go to plug these into the wall to power them. The lights turn on and they're not turning back off. I gotta think that's probably something Soonwell can address in a firmware update. Again, for me, not a huge deal because I'm always running these off the internal battery, especially since I'm getting over 3 hours of life in each charge. I'm a little bummed with the lack of accessories that you get with the ST25. With the larger ST50, not only are you getting a bigger, stronger clamp, but you also get a better stand adapter and a little mini tripod you can use with the clamp so that you can stand these lights upright on their own. With the ST25, you just get the single clamp and mini ball head. I hope Soonwell offers some of those accessories for purchase separately here soon. One glaring omission for me was that Soonwell didn't have a grid for these lights. But I did discover the grids from Godox meant for their TL60 lights. They actually fit on these fairly decently. I hope you find this video useful. If you've got any questions about these lights, let me know down in the comments. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. Have a good one.